S.A. Gilari Window Cleaning proudly sponsors Noontime History The Show, making dirty windows a thing of the past.
Hello and welcome to another show from Noontime History, the show that brings you local history direct to your screen. So what have we shown you so far? Well, so far we've shown you the Bridge 234, which was in relation to our railway. We've also shown you the Royal Observer Corps, which was the Cold War bunker, and we've also shown you the Eastgate tragedy. So what have we got in store for you today? Well, we've got a little bit of this. No, not fighting. Try that. No, it still looks like fighting. Well, actually, if I used my legs, it's cycling. We've got cycling as our main theme today. Obviously, if you've missed any of the shows, you can always catch up on YouTube, and the information should be coming on below. Is it below? Scrolling. One of the two. It's gonna do it. So and you can find the information there. We have a new feature called Then and Now. So this is quite exciting because what we're doing with this one is we're taking a picture from how it used to be. So we're going to show you a picture from a long time ago, and we're going to take the exact same picture in the exact same location or thereabouts, and we're going to do the transition. And we're going to put that in a gallery form, and we've got that for you today. We've also got our regular feature of A Glimpse into the Past, and I think you now know what that's about. So, without further ado, it's time for Noontime History, the show! Now, we've mentioned in the past that, in the last episode actually, that a festival is coming to Bourne, and this festival is called Bourne Cycle Fest. Now, I think that this festival is going to be amazing, and we're going to catch up with Andrew Norman from Cycle Fest, but not on this show. It's going to be on a standalone feature called History Now, and this is where we kind of discuss current affairs, because it's history of tomorrow today. So we'll keep an eye out for that, and that's going to be with Andrew Norman. And I think that a vicar of 1888 would be really excited about a Bourne Cycle Fest. Why would a vicar of 1888 be excited? Well, it's time for the main feature. There are a few cycling clubs in Bourne where the members meet regularly. One of these clubs are Bourne Wheelers, and they follow in a tradition of clubs going way back to the late 19th century thanks to the innovation of the bicycle. The bicycle was a truly remarkable invention because it allowed ordinary people to travel larger distances on a relatively low costing machine, unlike the motorcar, which was quite expensive. It also became quite a sociable pastime, encouraging ordinary working people to meet up, to have a chat, share experiences, and basically have a little break from their lives, escaping into the countryside. These group meetings led to the first of the clubs to form, which was springing up all over the country in cities and towns and villages. Bourne was no different, and in 1888 the then vicar, Reverend Hugh Mansfield, formed the Bourne Cycle Club. A local doctor, James Watson Birdwood, became the chairman, but it's worth noting that the majority of club's members were mainly working people, so it really became a people's pastime. And what could be expected from joining a cycling club was a very good outing at the weekend, lots of races during the summer months, which included prizes and trophies, and basically a social gathering of like-minded people enjoying the freedom a bicycle had to offer. In fact, if we look at my notes, we can report a massive race which was recorded in the Stamford Mercury on Friday, 29th of August 1890, and it reads: "The fourth race of the season was run on Tuesday evening between Mr. Vorza and Mr. Darnes, the distance being about 6 miles from Mr. Joseph Wiles' residence in North Road to Hackenby and Stainfield Crossroads and back. Both started from scratch and road safeties." I guess that's the kind of bike back in the day. Mr. Vorza made a bad start through the saddle of his machine shifting. He, however, led for some distance on the return journey, but Darnes succeeded in winning by a few yards, and it actually has the time in here. The time was 23 minutes. Now, we also have another reporting another report of an outing on 3rd of June 1898, and this one reads: "The cycling club had a pleasant run to Crowland on Wednesday via Spalding. After tea at the George Hotel, they returned by Deeping St James, meeting another section of the club at the Blue Bull Hotel. On Thursday, the members cycled to Billingborough." Now, in 1935, the name of the club had changed to the Bourne Wheelers Cycling Club, and continued to run from June until November, where their destinations were Kings Lynn, Hunstanton, St Ives and Market Harbour, just to name a few places. Now, they also included new competitive events such as hill climbs and speed trials. Unfortunately, the motorcar was becoming more affordable, and pleasure cycling, as it became to be known, became less popular. Now, thankfully, the Bourne Wheelers Cycling Club still survives to this day, and with the interest of cycling on the up and up, the numbers are once again increasing, and people are continuing to enjoy this pastime from a club formed 131 years ago. Now, like most things in life, we take a few things for granted, but they haven't always been there. And the bicycle is one of those things, and the motor car, and for some now, I guess the computer. So, can you imagine life without these things? See, a bike gives us so much joy, and I think it gives us a freedom. I remember the first time I tried to learn to ride a bike, and now I ended up in a bin. But I did learn to ride. So I think it's a defining point in anyone's life. And for the parents as well, you know, it's a proud moment when you see your child riding off unaided, and they take it to the cycling, and it's an amazing moment. Now, straying from the cycling theme for a little while, I want to point out something to you. In that photograph behind the cyclist, there is something there that isn't there anymore, and that can only mean one thing: it's time for a glimpse into the past. This is Bourne Town Centre, and here we have a busy hive of motor vehicles passing mindlessly through, only stopping momentarily to wait at the traffic lights before continuing their journey, totally unaware that this space used to be a congregational place for the people of the town. Of course, this is the old market square, once dominated by people, now given way to the motor car. But it wasn't just the people that had to be moved off the streets in this particular area. There was something else that had to be rehomed, and that something was this scene here sitting behind the group of cyclists. This was Ostler Fountain, named after John Lely Ostler. He was born in 1811 and died in 1859. A year after his death, this fountain was erected in the town centre in his memory. As can be seen here, it was originally sat on a stepped platform. This photograph, sent in by Gail Klingo, shows you the memorial at a later date, and you will notice that it no longer sits on the stepped platform. Now, I'm just going to refer to my notes again, so to let you know who John Lely Ostler was. You know, to get a honorary position in the town centre, Now, he was believed to be an ancestor of Sir Peter Lely, a Dutch artist who was renowned as a portrait painter in the courts of Charles I and Charles II. Now, John Lely Osler had a claim to fame, and I like this one, when he officiated the unveiling as mayor of the Isaac Newton statue in 1858. He had moved to Cawthorpe in 1854, so only lived in Bourne for a few years before his death in 1859. Yet he was still able to have an effect on Bourne, so much so that he had a fountain built in his memory. Now, he had a reputation for his charitable works and philanthropy, the building of the school in Dyke, and a donation of the land for the Eastgate School in 1856. He also provided the site for the Bourne Waterworks, and this is where the affiliation with the fountain comes into play. Now, the fountain was designed by Edward Browning, son of Brian Browning, who had designed the town hall in the town centre and the House of Correction. Now, correct me if I'm wrong, that's what the comments are for down below. If I'm wrong with that, do correct me. And the House of Correction was in Folkingham. Now, the Portland stone was carved by a... this really is his name, Mr. William Hilliam. And yeah, that really was his name. Now, he's from Stamford, and he was described as a clever carver. The canopy of the memorial stood on 4 pillars made from Aberdeen granite, and finally the steps which the fountain stood was made from good Yorkshire stone. It was an actual drinking fountain and was in use for many years. In 1874 it had to be repaired, and again in 1888. This time, however, the council, I think, said, you know, look, either remove it or have it repaired properly for its use. There was a plea from the papers, and it was resupplied. Now, 100 years on from the fountain being installed, Bourne's town centre was changing, and the motorcar had taken over the world. Since the car was here to stay, sadly it meant that the fountain had to go. And in 1962, it was decided that the fountain should either be destroyed or it was to be moved to another location. I have to say, thankfully, it was moved to another location. It was moved to the cemetery, and this is where it is today. Now, if you have a look at this photograph, you can see the fountain in the centre, and you can see actually how lonely it was. And actually, it was probably the correct move, because had it still been there, I think it probably would have, the traffic probably would have made it fall down. But what this story does tell you about the John Lely Osler story is that if you are new to Bourne, then Bourne will accept you, and you have the chance to do something great and even be remembered, just like John Lely Osler. Now, as a child, I remember hearing the story of the fountain in the centre of town, and I thought that it may have been demolished because obviously it's not there anymore. But talking to people over the years, I've been told that I was told that it was at the cemetery, and I'm glad that it's there because it's a really nice looking fountain. Now, here's a quick fact actually about the fountain. When they moved it, now some of you might know this through the Facebook page, the Noontime History Facebook page on the Did You Knows, but when they moved it, there was a bottle that was found underneath, and in this bottle contained a message, and this message was basically just to say why the fountain was erected. So tradition being tradition, when they moved it to the cemetery, they wrote another message and put it in a bottle. Not the same bottle, because unfortunately the bottle was smashed during the process. But so there's a new bottle with a new message along with the old message. So when you do go and see this fountain, you can think, actually, I know what's under there. Quickly, I just want to say a hello to Emma Ward, who I know watches the programme and plays along with the game as well every week, and that's the game of Where Is This? And also I want to say hello to Norma Turner, because again I know you watch it, so hello to you. And if you do want a mention on the show, pop here a little comment down below, and we'll say hello to you on the next show. Now, I just also want to say about the stories on the Ostler is that obviously this information is taken from the CD-ROM by Rex Needle, and I think that everyone should have a copy of this CD-ROM of our history in their home. It's amazing. The photos on there are mesmerising. The stories on there are brilliant. And you can purchase one of these CDs at the Bulldogs Mill in Bourne, our museum, our very own museum. And that's open 2 till 4 on a Saturday and Sunday. So get yourself down there, have a good nosy around, and pick yourself up a CD. And the CD, the proceeds, go back to the upkeep of the museum, which is a good thing. So, well, you've got to love those little facts, and I think it's now time for the new feature. And this one I'm really excited about. So, without further ado, this is Then and Now. And that's it, unfortunately. That's the end of another show. I hope the show has been entertaining and informative, and because that's what it's about. But remember, like I said, this is just a snippet of the information out there. There's far more on. Down at the library for a start. There's even books by J.J. Davies, and there's Dr. Michael McGregor's. There's a book by there. Rex Needle's books. Do check out the CD-ROM. They are amazing. So yeah, do check these things out, and don't forget. Nearly forgot myself actually. Don't forget to check out the new feature the standalone feature called History Now, and that's going to be talking about very briefly, but about the Cycle Fest that is coming our way into Bourne, and I think it's going to be great. So talk about it amongst your friends, families and work colleagues, as well as the history, obviously. But from us at Noontime History, it's ciao for now.